There are seasons when life feels loud. The world is rushing, and you're trying to hold the center while everything around you keeps shifting. And then there comes a moment, usually subtle, quiet even, when you realize it's time to pause, to reflect, to reset the inner landscape before stepping into what's next. Today, we're going to talk about that moment. Because as we edge towards a new year, most people wait for the calendar to tell them who they should become. But purpose-driven people, people who want to build something with meaning, they prepare differently. They plan from intention, not pressure. They build from alignment, not hustle. And they lead families and businesses with clarity that comes from the inside out. Welcome to Off Topic but On Point. I'm Ep8, wife, mother, strategist, and a woman who believes that the heart must be touched before the mind can be influenced and the hands can be empowered. With me are two of my closest friends, Pastor Christo Pretorius and Dr. Janine de Cabo. And today, we're going to reflect, reset, and reframe what it truly means to step into the new year better. Let's begin.
Good day and welcome to Off Topic but On Point with myself and two of my closest friends, Dr. Janine de Cabo and Ep8. We are looking forward to another impactful time with you today. For many, many years, many decades, maybe even centuries, the Chinese has always had a theme for a new year. And many of the Western countries and the rest of the world has adopted or adapted to something similar. And so this morning, my question is this: how do you prepare for a new year? What is your process? Do you also have a theme? Or what is the driving force for a new year? Many, many years I've seen that people are tired in November, December, and then the 31st of December, when the calendar turns and it's the 1st of January, everybody is super excited because it's a new year. This year is going to be better than last year. So my question is simply yes. What is your process? What do you do? How do you do it? What do you focus on to make the years ahead the best year you've ever had?
Yeah, I like that question because it's something that I prepare for and I have a system. But before I tell you about my system, I want to be honest to say that it didn't work as my system in the last 2 years. In Afrikaans, we say truest myself. Be like, it's okay. The circumstances are out of your hand. I speak about this thing with my team where I always ask them, is it an excuse or is it a concern or a complaint? Now, it feels to me in my own mind is it's more than a complaint than what it is a concern, because the point is that I need to get it done. So what I do is in September or October, when we have that week holidays of the kids, we go away as a family and we take that week and we plan and we put out an entire vision for the next year. And we've been doing that since the kids were little. And it was actually so special to me this year when we went away. We were at a different place, so we couldn't go and walk or hike, like they say. And one of the kids asked me is like, when are we going for our hike? And I said to them, the place where we are, we can't go and hike because the big five is there. So we're not allowed to walk around. And he's like, he looked at me and his eyes were like changing, like with a concern. And he's like, but how are we going to pray? And it stopped me in my tracks. And I realized that every time, and we did that every time we went, and we went for a hike this time of the year, I might just pick up this rock as a symbol and then just ask God for what you want for the next year. And then we place the rocks on top of each other and it builds a little altar. And that's what they remember every year. And it's really special, it's symbolic, and we have photos of every year. And the last couple of years, my husband's been traveling, so he hasn't been able to go with us. And I mean, obviously we've tried, and it just didn't work out like that. They had meetings in Dallas, and it just wasn't possible. But I didn't realize the effect, because previous years, when I come back, I'm recharged, I'm renewed, and I start just that week. It's not even the 2 or 3 weeks in December, just that couple of days. Sometimes it wasn't even a full week. Just standing still, praying about what we're going to do for the next year, being prepared, and then having 3 months to run that plan before the end of the year. And by that statement, what you were saying earlier is that then by November, December, we're so tired. We miss that because we're so energized with the plan that we're already running for 2026 or whichever year is next, that we don't hit that slump, if I can say that. And we always feel that other people are irritated, and they're irritated because they're tired. They're short because they're tired. They don't think straight because they're tired. We didn't hit that, and we didn't have that because we took that time intentionally to plan. What I found in the last 2 years is that I'm back in that same box, back in that same wheel where I was before I was doing this many years ago. And it just shows me that how vital that time is. I now know again the difference between doing that versus not doing that properly. Because I was just sissing my own mind to say that, no, you still went away. You still went away. No, you didn't, because you were actually working. You weren't planning. You were sitting with your laptop next to the pool watching the kids swim. That's not the idea. So for me, that's, I want to say, the ritual that we've been using for more than a decade actually, and skimping on it in the last 2 years has really had an effect, and it just puts us back in the box that I was really trying to avoid. So yeah, from my side, that's what we do.
Here's what I want you to notice as you listen. Behind every story you're hearing, the rituals, the planning, the joy jars, the quiet moments of honesty, there's a deeper pattern. A life doesn't become meaningful by accident. It becomes meaningful through micro decisions made consistently and consciously. So as you hear these conversations, don't just consume them. Ask yourself, where is the invitation for me? What needs closing off? What needs carrying forward? And what needs to be released? Take a breath, settle your mind, and let's step back in.
That's quite intentional, going away and planning. What's interesting for me is the smallest adjustment within that process, has put you a little bit on the back burner, if you want to say so, or back at where you used to be. So it's quite interesting. But what I think what is great, obviously, and I know you're gonna double down on this, is you've noticed and acknowledged, what that thing is. Or stumbling block. Maybe for somebody out there, there's just a small tweak within your setting up of the next year. I'm not advocating that everybody should have a new vision or a new dream for the year, but having a focus is absolutely necessary. Definitely from you. And the beautiful thing is that you incorporate the entire family. It's not just for yourself, not just for the business, but it's a holistic goal that the entire family can work towards. Odette, from your side, how is yours similar? Does it differ?
Is similar.
Let us know.
We take our time in September to decide what the rest of the year looks like, what the next 12 months will look like. And the past 5 years have been very different. We've had to just roll with the punches. I plan my holidays a year or two in advance. So I'm like that's for me, holidays are big. I want to know I've got something coming up and it's something that we're doing together and that kind of stuff. But this past 5 years has been different in that even though I had planned, those things didn't necessarily happen the way I planned, because I have a structured process of planning. We review the year. I'm a firm believer that you've got to first close off before you can start or reopen. So for me, it's about what has this year looked like. So reflecting on what did we do well, what were the things we wanted to do but didn't, and why didn't we? Was it just not important, or did we just not get around to it? That means we need to be more intentional. As a family, we've got a joy jar. So every Sunday we look back at what was the best part of the week, and I'd write it on a Post-it note. And on New Year's Eve, we kind of not kind of, we each read, it was a little bit different when Brianna was small, but we each read a post-it. So we share the 52 post-its among the four of us to look over the year to see what were the things that stood out for us. What did we value in the year? And often it's things like we went to the beach, and then I'm like, okay, how many times did we go to the beach? Let's make little piles. What are the things that we really want to do more of this year? So in that way, we as a family sit and reflect on what happened, where we're going and what we're doing. Johan and I have already started planning for next year. We did it 2, maybe 3 weeks ago. And I was like, okay, I want to do this. He's like, I don't want to do that. I was like, okay, what are we doing? How does this work? Where does this go? And we talk to the kids about it because they get excited about the things. They also want to do stuff. But for me, probably in this year, what's been most important is closing off, understanding what needs to close off in the next couple of months. And I've been very intentional with some of the things that I'm busy closing off because it takes a lot longer than I had anticipated. But closing off specific things so that when January hits, that it's a new, fresh, a clean slate, but not clean slate and clean ideas. It's a clean slate with already thought about things that we are just implementing and rolling out.
Yeah, there's a couple of things there that I appreciate. I think the reflection is very important, very crucial to reflect on the things that you've done. So well done on doing that. Maybe I'm doing it, but it's definitely not top of mind, as we say, to close off the year, to make sure that you've closed off all the things that needed to be done. So I'm a little bit of a procrastinator, so we'll just do that next year as well. There's some projects at home and things that you want to do. So I think that's something I'm definitely going to take. We also have a joy jar. So I'm glad to hear that you're also doing that. Ours are completely empty for the second year in a row. So just a quick one. Where did it start for you, Odette? Because we bought one, my wife, and was like, this is a brilliant idea. Just imagine. And we missed last year, and then we said, this year we're going to do it. And we missed it again. So where did you start? Yeah, maybe give me a tip. I know you just got to do it, but how do you continually, every week,
Our joy jar started 5 years ago when we moved, because we decided that if we're going to do everything different, we might as well do everything different. So I got a jam jar with like a funny clasp. I decorated it myself. I went and I bought stickers. I made it pretty. And really, it's about putting it in front of you, because what you see, you become, and you behold. You become what you behold. So mine is in the lounge. She recently posted about it. It's on a little coffee table next to a post-it note and a pen, so we don't have to think about where's the pen, where's this. So everything is ready. And on a Sunday afternoon, after we've had dinner or at lunch, I'll start questioning everyone. Sometimes the questions are hard. What did we do this week? What was the best part of your week? And sometimes it's just, I made it through the week, which is fine too. But when we started it 5 years ago, there was a lot we had to let go of. It felt like it was a big death. It was the death of our life. And I had to be intentional about looking for things to celebrate. Because yes, being here, achieving this, coming to this country, super blessed, super grateful. And it came at a cost. And it was hard. Unless you've been through it, I don't think you can understand how hard it was. And that was my way of saying, yes, it's hard, but how do we intentionally find the things that we can celebrate? Because it's very easy to get swept up in the loss. And I didn't want to do that. But it also taught my kids, because they were so young, them to look for things to be grateful for. It taught them to look for opportunities to celebrate. And it wasn't about, I bought this thing, or I got this, or we went on holiday and it was this expensive thing. It was the everyday things that we are grateful for, that we can celebrate. Executive pastor, the ACC state executive, his wife said something. She said, what if tomorrow all you get is what you were grateful for today? But for me, that was something that I was working towards, and that's why we started the Joy Jar. And then the cool thing is, like on New Year's Eve, because my kids are small, we don't do New Year's Eve parties. We're here alone. My kids are too small. So then we buy loom bands, those glow sticks with headbands and bracelets, and we make like funny things. And then we're sitting at maybe 10 o'clock at night reading the things in the dark with all the glowy things. And that's taught my kids to be grateful, but it's also taught me to be grateful, because the year goes by quickly. And it's very easy to forget the ways that God's blessed you. It's very easy to forget how faithful he is at the end of the year when you look back. And I can tell you that that is probably one of the most beneficial thing that we've ever done. We all get an opportunity to read it out loud, so you relive it again, which is so good for your brain. It's like, oh yes, I've got to do that again. So it builds our faith. It builds my kids' faith. Like, I don't always tell them on the day what I'm grateful for, but at the end of the year, when we talk about I'm grateful for this, they're like, oh, mommy, really? What was that? Oh, well, this was a big thing for me. Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize it was such a big thing for you. So, boys, to see, it's simple. Put the jar in front of you so you can't ignore it. If you must, put a reminder on your calendar at whatever time, whatever day. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It's just what was the best part of your week.
I like that. Find the reason. Find the reason. Something that we can definitely look at. Dr. Janine, what's your joy jar?
I think mine is standing where yours is. I also started it, but I realized that that's not going to work for me in the writing and all of that. So what we do is, and it's not exactly the same, but it ends up to something similar, is when we drive from church on a Sunday, I ask them these two questions. What did you learn today? And what are you going to implement? Most people probably do that, but I'm very intentional about putting that into practice that week. So then I make sure, I remember Ava said this, I remember Ethan said this. Are you actually doing that? So it's not I don't have to go out of my way for it. It's become a habit for us, but in a good, positive way, not a ritual in the sense of we do it because we have to. We do it because we really want to. So what it's helped us to do is look into the week. So just small bits and small bites of looking into the week, being intentional about what we're going to do, and obviously making sure that you take something from and then apply it. So don't be hearers, but be doers also. And you know what? It helped me a lot to also figure out where they were, because I remember at some point it's like Ava was so cute. Then I would ask her, "What did you learn, baby?" She's like, "You need to love people." And then the next Sunday, I'm like, "What did you learn?" "You still need to love people." And then the next Sunday, she's like, "Oh, what did you learn?" "Then I need to love people." And then I'm like, is there nothing else that you learn? It doesn't help I send you to church. I was making jokes like that, and I'm like, I want my money back. I was making jokes with her. And then I realized it's like part of a little rhyme that they say every time when they start. And then I was able to tell her, but you need to just listen a little bit further than that. No, not the first 10 minutes. Like you need to listen after that. And it helped me to tap into where the kids were, but also help them to be intentional. And funny enough, when we stand on that mountain, putting our rocks, praying at the end of the year, that's the things that I hear. So I don't hear random stuff. I hear a small prayer like, thank you, Jesus, that this year I learned to love people despite of the things that they said or despite of the things that they have done. And next year, let me have an even bigger heart for love. So it seems so simple at the time, but doing it for so many years, I see how it adds up, how these little things that we do throughout the year has so much value and so much worth, because one day they're going to look back and they're going to be as like, we did this with my parents. It's important for us to reflect. You used the word it's important for us to reflect. It's important for us to capturing moments. Every family will capture moments in a different way. But how are you taking time to reflect? And then how are you taking times to capture those moments? Because those moments that you capture literally produces a ripple effect into your future.
That's correct. That's correct. What I'm hearing is it's not just important to plan and set out the year ahead, but it's when you live that year to capture the moments so that you have something of substance to reflect on that then becomes the foundation for the next year. What do you do personally that sort of keeps you on track for the year? Like just maybe, excuse me, just a personal habit or a personal
Can we put a rule in
process.
place?
You can.
We can't say prayer, fasting, spending time with God, because we know that's a given. Okay, not those three.
Yeah, not those three.
Okay.
Yeah, just like a practical thing, just personally for you that keeps you on track with everything, because both of you are, first of all, you're a wife. Secondly, you're a mother. So obviously family is important. You both have businesses. You both are extremely busy with business. You both are writers. So I know there's content and time that goes into multiple things. I know that you are both very involved in church as well, and within the community. Your kids in school. So what do you do? I wanted to say, what is your secret hack? But I know Odette doesn't have a hack. So that's rule number 4. The fourth thing that we can't use is a hack. What is the personal process, a personal moment, a personal thing that you've recognized that's unique to you, that helps you to remain on track throughout the year?
Is exercise is very important for me. What I realize is after that, my brain is happy, it's awake, it's ready to go. Eating well. Because what I've realized in business is if I don't eat well, then I don't feel well, I don't feel healthy, and I can't give you the output that is necessary to do that. So if I'm eating well, I'm talking about the protein and all the stuff that I need to get and all the nutrients, then I am healthy, I'm happy to do exercise, and I can perform at a much higher level. And that is not just for work, that is for my family as well. It's important for me how I show up, not just at work, but also how I show up for my family. So those two things helps me a lot personally. What I have to refuel. So I like to write. And if writing, I don't mean books all the time. We learn new things every day. So I like to capture that and then put it into an article as an example. So some of my articles for next year is already written just because it's become a routine. And when that thought comes, I immediately take a pen, a paper, my phone, a note, just make a note of it. And then when I have a moment in front of my computer, I write and I get that out. I've learned that that's also a way for me to study, to process new information, keep my brain creative with all the brain rot going on. As much as we want to avoid it, it is becoming part of our daily stuff. And this is also a way to put that, I almost want to say delay, put it to a stop, however you want to say that. And then on the personal side as well is I love to serve. So whether it's my family or whether it's at church, if I can serve them in ways that I know would help, that for me makes a big difference. And yes, studying, but I don't know if I want to use the word study because it's not a degree that I'm after. I'm not particularly studying something, but always learning new things. Like I'm saying, that lifetime learner. If I do these things, and it seems like, oh, wow, you do all of that in a day. It's really possible. I'm not saying I'm studying 4 hours a day, but I'm very intentional and I pay attention to what I can learn. And sometimes it's a something here and a something there. It's a quote from somebody, and that quote unlocks a whole article because I've been thinking about this thing. And that's the last thing I want to say is thinking. I think a lot. I ask a lot of questions and try and discover and figure things out. So when I do that's what I personally do, and that kind of forms part of my everyday.
Yeah, it seems like it's a well-defined process that you got going there. A healthy body,
A healthy body, healthy
then
mind, healthy soul, those things is key. And why I say I have to write it down is because I don't have it from 7 to 8, from 8 to 9. I try, and that was one of the things I said to myself. I tried it that way, but I just felt like I failed the whole time. And I was like, but if I just get these things done, in no matter what order, no matter how long, just and not again skimping, like really get it done, then I know that personally for me, I'm making progress.
thank you for sharing that. Odette, what's your
There's no
secret
secrets,
hack?
and there's also no hack. Um, yes, exercise. Yes, pay attention to what you eat, but I'm probably less disciplined in that. I'm just like, I try to do lots of protein, lots of water. I try to do that, but I'm also not going to beat myself up on it. Something I said to a friend last week was that I realized my personal discipline determines my personal success. If I can't be disciplined in the small things, get up when the alarm goes off, make your bed, do the thing you said you were going to. If I cannot have discipline in the small things, then I will not be able to achieve the big things. So I don't focus on the big things. Yes, I have goals. Yes, I have dreams. Yes, I have visions. But that's not the focus, because that's not what's going to get me there. It's the discipline in the small things. The other thing that I am quite passionate about is integrity as defined as doing what you said you would do when you said you would do it. So for me, it looks like when the kids say, can we go to the park? If I have said yes, whether I want to or not, we are going to the park, because that was my commitment. And that if I do that, then everything else falls into play. Something I've recently started doing a lot more of, but it's always sort of floated in, was reviewing the alignment of things. I'm constantly looking at it going, is this the right thing? Is it in the right place? Should I still be doing this? That's a question I ask myself every day, because there is an alignment coming. God's repositioning us all, whether you are aware of it or not. He's putting things in order, and his order may not be my order. So my question to myself is this the thing? And if it's not, how do I make sure that I honor it and close it off properly so that I can move forward? I don't believe in lifestyle overhauls. So for me, it's not change everything all at once. For me, it's marginal increments of improvement. So if I could do 5 minutes more today than I did yesterday, that's a win for me. And that's what I focus on. So if I can just be disciplined in this thing, then tomorrow I can look at something else, because I know I can do this thing. I've proven to myself that I can do this thing. So I've got the confidence, I've got the dopamine hits. Cool, let's go. And then the last thing I think that's part of my ecosystem is I look for wins every day. What did I do really, really well? But I also give myself grace. There's plenty of opportunities to beat yourself up because you didn't get around to the thing, you didn't read the email, you stuffed up, you whatever. Lots of those opportunities exist. I acknowledge, that I'm human, and it's not an excuse. It's a fact. I am human. And in my humanness, it doesn't always work out the way that I had wanted it to. Now, if God is graceful and forgiving, why should I not be towards myself? Please don't hear me say that this is, you can talk yourself into excuses, or that's okay to be mediocre. It's not that. I find that I am more critical of myself than I would be of other people. So if I address something with someone else, I can assure you that I would have addressed that with myself 10 times worse. I know that, and therefore I give myself grace. And I create a space so that other people can give themselves grace too. Is it easy? No. Is it something I do miraculously? It really takes a lot sometimes to do it. But that's my ecosystem.
Oh no, listen, I like the way you framed it. I mean, you started out by lifting the standard for yourself. If you said to your kids, we're going to the park, I'm going to do that, whether I want to or feel like it or not. So you already, lifted the standard for yourself, keeping yourself accountable to a higher standard. So when you mention about giving yourself grace, I see it in that perspective as well, as that it's not a license, or it's not a easy cop out, because you are lifting yourself to that standard. We're at the end of the year. Everybody's getting ready for New Year's resolutions. Everybody's getting ready that next year's going to be the best year of their life. In closing, maybe one or two things that you would give to our listeners that they can focus on to implement something of worth and of value. Maybe it's something that you are doing that you want to encourage other people to do, or if there's anything else that you want to say, listen, I think these are two very important aspects that you can start. Paul Martinelli said this. He says, the problem is not in goal achieving. The reason we don't achieve our goals is not in the achieving part. He says it's actually in the goal setting part. We set the goals wrong. We either set the goals way too high, or we set the goals way too low, or it's way too vague. And so that's really where the question comes from, is that how can somebody set themselves up, not for failure, but for success in 2026, the year that is ahead of us?
Odette, I really like the way that you said what you just said, because the new trend that I've seen in the last 2 years, if you look at social media, they're pushing us, and I say us because we're all reading it, to be better, to be greater, to go for gold, and to, like, just be the best version of yourself. And I agree we should be, right? But then people were trying that and then they kept failing. So now the new trend is that I choose not to have success, but actually all of these things are excuses. Because I realize that my stuff is not in line for me to be successful. So now I put in all these excuses. And that's why I really like the way that you said what you said, is it's not that you're not working hard. It's not that you're not rising. It's not that you're doing all those things. And within that process, you are finding that you need to give yourself grace. That's part of the process. Where the opposite of that person is still with excuses, still not getting to the stuff, still not doing the stuff, and then saying, maybe this is just not for me, or like I said, all that range of excuses. I think, like with our bodies, we fast to have a reset. I think in December, you need to just have a reset with your brain too. You have to find 3 or 4 days where you do not think, where you do not have to think about even what you wear, what you're going to eat today, what you're going to do. It's like literally whatever happens. If you mean to go to the beach and you land up there that day, great. And I do not have to decide what is for lunch even. Like, oh, there's a truck, let me just go buy a hot dog there, or whatever the case is. Just challenge yourself not to think. And you think like, oh, that's easy. Challenge yourself not to think for 3 or 4 days in December, not to plan what you're going to eat, what you're going to wear, what the kids are going to do, what the program is going to be, because we tend to just take what we've done during the year straight into holiday, and then we don't rest. It's like, I don't care what we eat today. Even, by the way, if we do, like, if you guys are hungry, you'll fit something. Okay. But we're not going to think. So that's what I would say, is take 3 or 4 days and fast your brain from thinking, and just do whatever comes up. That's going to do the reset for you. If you can do it for longer, well done. That would be even better. Amazing. But that's going to reset you. And all of a sudden, you're going to realize there's creative ideas that's coming in. There's clarity that's coming in. You're going to be able to think clear again. And you're going to feel like that feeling when you were a child and you can't wait to use your stationery for the school to begin. You're going to feel that feeling. Right? That feeling is going to come, and you're going to be like, man, I can't wait to get back to work. I can't wait to work with my stationery, because you've cleaned your brain and you've cleansed everything. So that's what I would suggest you do.
I really like that. It's time for a brain detox. Odette, final thoughts from yourself?
I love new stationery. Okay, first, quickly, I want you to reframe what you said. It's not best year ever. I hate it when people say that. Yes, hate's a very strong. Don't say that. That implies that every other year after that would suck. Why would you even know? Okay, best year yet. Today will be the best day yet. Define for yourself what success looks like, not based on what Instagram tells you, not based on what your job title says it should look like, but based on who God called you to be and what your purpose is. What does success look like? And then once you've done that, pick one thing every single day that you can do in that day that your future self will thank you for, in the context of what success looks like for you.
That's going to give you your best year ever. I absolutely agree with that. Your best year yet. Yes, I think it's an important reframe. I've seen it over the years where when I speak to people, then this was the trend, where they said it was the worst year ever, but next year's going to be the best year ever. And after a couple of years, I realized, but it's the same people that said next year's going to be the best year. That year becomes the worst year ever. And so I want to live a life of fulfillment. I want to take back my life and ensure that it's the life that I want to live. I definitely agree with your reframe, the best you yet, the best you yet. But I said, if you always do what we've always done, you will always have what you always had. And so it's important for us stepping into this new year that we need to adjust one or two things. And Odette and Dr. Janine has given you some great examples. So if you need to reflect, if you need to switch off your brain and stop thinking for a couple of days about the things that normally bugs you down, if you need to be thankful, if you need to be grateful, if you need to find a jar and have a joy jar for the year ahead, any one of those things will be great adjustments to the things that you already do, and it will set you up for an incredible year. Thank you very much for being with us once again. We wish you all the best for the year ahead.
As we close today, here's the truth that keeps rising to the surface. A better year doesn't begin on the 1st of January. It begins the moment that you decide to live aligned with who you're becoming. Not the best year ever, but the best year yet. A year built on clarity, small disciplines, alignment, gratitude, and courage to take one step your future self will thank you for. If you take nothing else from this conversation, take this. Success doesn't come from setting ambitious goals. It comes from setting aligned goals and then showing up steadily and faithfully in the small things. Thank you for being with us today. I'm Ep8, and remember, every great movement begins with a single voice. Maybe it's yours.
Thank you for spending these intentional moments with us today. Join our intentionalist community for purposeful business, spiritual, and life experience. As an international author, business strategist, and life coach, I've discovered the power of living with intention. Through my series of books on intentionality, I've shared insights on how to blend passion, power, and purpose to craft a life that not only enriches you, but also elevates those around you. Remember, being intentional is your God-given right to live a successful, rewarding, and prosperous life.